Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports on a Thursday evening. It's all happening, ladies and gentlemen. It is all happening. The British and Irish Lions series could literally not be more on a knife edge than it is currently with off-the-ball antics. We're going to see on-the-ball antics probably this weekend. Rassie Erasmus taking on World Rugby. Two team selections that we're going to talk about. Currie Cup back this weekend. We've got a lot to go through tonight's show, and I think that it's just been a very strange week and a blockbuster week off the field, which we don't get in rugby, which is strange. And something that I was over in Gareth Mason, or G-Man's stream earlier, and I was talking about the fact that with the whole Rassie Erasmus debacle, with Warren Gatland, with these sort of off the field antics, and a lot of people are saying, "Oh, just leave it on the field." I love it. I absolutely love it. This is what we're going to generate more interest into rugby. See stuff. I'm not saying that we don't want to see bad refereeing and we want to see arguments, but personalities. We need personalities in rugby that are off the ball, and personalities that are blockbuster, that cause controversy, that cause debate, that get people interested, that pique people's interests. And I think that we definitely did that to Rassie Erasmus with his comments that he's made today. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what the response is from World Rugby itself. We'll talk a little bit about this weekend and what's it's basically the last chance for me to go live and talk about what's going to happen this weekend with you guys. And we can discuss a couple of points and stuff like that. A bit of news about Dan Biggar and what his situation is and stuff like that. So we've got a lot to get through tonight. Let's jump in the comments. Let me know what you thought. If you haven't seen the Rassie Erasmus video, it's on my channel. It's an hour long, and basically what he does, he spends an hour going through various refereeing decisions which are inconsistent with either the laws or inconsistent in terms of how they were applying the laws on Saturday itself. And he raised, every single point he raised, it's some of them you can kind of argue maybe, but and he does it very cleverly, does Rassie Erasmus. He talks about, he's quite sarcastic in many ways, where he says, if that's the way that the rules are going to be applied, that's fine. Just so we know we can use it, that we can do that as well. So he's quite intelligent in the way he does it. And he's really sort of put his heart in the sleeve and said, if this means I get removed as SA Rugby, or this means I get fined, so be it. I'm doing this in my personal capacity. I'm not doing this as SA Rugby. So don't go after SA Rugby. Don't go after the Springbok. This is what I'm doing. Take action against me. And ironically, he didn't do it to release on like YouTube, for example. It wasn't quite like on Twitter and stuff like that, where he was doing it in a sort of open me. This was a video that was meant for World Rugby and was meant for the refereeing panel to be discussed in terms of how the refereeing was done, and they wanted clarity over certain things and stuff like that. That was why he made the video, and then it got leaked. I think that the intention, he even said, maybe SuperSport will use it. The intention was always to get this video out there. How he entirely did it, we don't quite know. It's popped over in a few places. It's over on Vimeo. There's a couple of different sites who've also uploaded it, so we've uploaded it, so you guys can go and check it out. But I really enjoy it. And I think even if you don't agree with what he's saying, being able to generate this sort of buzz ahead of this weekend is fantastic. And I think from a Springbok fan point of view, it cannot hurt us. It really cannot hurt us. So I think he literally had a no lose situation. The Boks are up against the wall. They're up against the wall. We are under so much pressure this weekend. There's so much doubt about the team. The team was getting a lot of criticism last week. The coaching staff is getting a lot of criticism about tactics. So what does Rassie Erasmus does? He goes and sets up sideshow. He brings the circus to town and says, all right, you guys are not going to talk about us this week. You're not going to talk about the kicking game. You're not going to sit there picking apart our game. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to look at the referee decisions for an hour and deflect all that stuff, which is a complete masterstroke. It does two things. First of all, it's taken everything away from the players. They're not in the spotlight. They don't have to worry about that. Second of all, the pressure on the officials this weekend will be absolutely immense. They now know, if I make a decision that's wrong, jeepers, I could be in the next video. I could have Rassie Erasmus, the current World Cup winning coach, saying that I was terrible and I was shit and stuff like that. So it's a very big statement, and he put a lot of pressure on these officials, which is quite interesting. And I don't think it's something we can ever advocate to do. I saw a tweet which was quite right. They said, was it right? Probably not. Was it needed? Yes. Will it have an effect? We hope so. Is the game of rugby better because of it? And I think it probably would be better, because I think it brings a lot of issues which are sort of continuously bubbling under to the surface, and just lays it bare and says, this is the problem. What are you going to do about World Rugby? Are you going to take action? Are you going to stand by officials? How are you going to negotiate this? So it's a very, very interesting time. I'm going to go to the comments now. I just want to say to Moha, thank you so much for becoming a member of the channel. If anybody else would like to become a member of the channel, we've got the link up there as the pinned comment. I see the comments starting to come in. Let's get those comments in. Let me know what you think of the video. What do you think of the entire situation? Was he right? Should he have done it? Should he have not done it? Where are you sort of sitting on the fence and stuff like that? Also, some very, very exciting news that I can't quite share with you, but I can say that we are in communication with a potential partner for the channel, and we're hopefully going to be launching a bit of a collaboration in the next. It could be in the next couple of days, which is tremendously exciting and something I've been working for very, very hard and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that we can try and make an announcement in the next sort of week. And when we do, you wonderful people who have given us this platform and made this channel what it is, we're going to need your help again to try and take the next step. But yeah, I'm really, really excited to try and announce that on in the next couple of days. But let's go through the comments and see what's cooking. So Contender, and I think this is a very valid point. It says, who remembers Bryce Lawrence maybe World Cup 2011 SA versus Australia? And that was the thing. Look, he was taken off the panel, and he had mental breakdown and he had death threats, stuff like that. You don't want to advocate for that sort of thing. But it's drawing attention to that issue and saying, if you guys are not going to take action, if you guys are not going to make these guys accountable, or you guys are not going to be consistent and we're not going to encourage better behavior, it's a slippery slope. So what Rassie has done is basically said, I dare you to have a bad performance on Saturday. And it's good in many ways, because I think that we need to try and sort of put a spotlight on refereeing, put them under pressure. It's very difficult to be a referee. Nobody wants to be a referee, let's be honest. And, something like this won't help that. But just as players at the end of the game, have to stand up and face the media, and they sit there saying, you missed 3 tackles and they scored a try. Why? What can you tell us? I think so do the refs need to be accountable to a certain degree for really bad performances. Referees will always make mistakes. They will always make mistakes. Not every single call will go against you. And nobody's advocating for that. But there were some worrying trends, and I think that's probably the issue. If it's a 50-50, it goes the other way, fine. If it's something that hasn't been quite picked up, but it's a little bit difficult, it's a bit muddy, fine. But it was the trends that were being sort of called out as being a little bit worrying, specifically the treatment of the 2 captains and stuff like that. And once again, I think that will have a really good effect on this weekend. So Gregory Rhodes says, I'm with Rassie. Albert from Lincoln said, I had time to watch it twice. Rassie made extremely good points, and no one disagrees on technological issues. If Lambie was still around, him at 15, Pollard at 10, and Leroux at 23. If Ruan Pino came back, him as utility player replacement covering 9, 10, and 15. Linton says, Rassie's my hero. Rassie is a hero in my book. SA Rugby has needed its voice ever since the Bryce Lawrence incident. And the nice thing is he didn't do it by SA Rugby. It wasn't like SA Rugby released this video. He kind of just leaked it on his personal capacity, so they can say, look, we didn't know we were going to do it. But they kind of knew it was going to go out there. Andrina says, Bryce Lawrence all over again. King Cobra said he simply told the uncomfortable truth. They don't like that. Taylor says, ref down decisions, volume 2, Barry and O'Keefe. 25-23 box win this weekend. Yeah, we're going to get into it. We're going to give our score predictions a bit later. World Rugby officials shut the door and Bach managed to force Rassie. And I think that was kind of where it started, was the fact that they wanted to see clarity on Sunday and find out what the issue was, why they were penalized, why they had the game they did. And they said, no, you'll only get on Tuesday. And Rassie's sitting there saying, well, we train on Tuesday, we train on Wednesday, and we train on and we have a captain's practice on Friday, so we can't really sort of put anything into effect based on stuff that you get on Tuesday. By Tuesday you've selected a new team and you have to put on the final touches, so it's difficult if you're only getting feedback then to then start putting stuff into play. Any news on Dwayne? We'll talk about it a bit later, but nothing so far. He's running around for the Bulls, so I'm sure. I don't know if he's done. I don't think he's going to be down in Cape Town with them. I'll be very surprised if he is, unless they reckon he might be fit for the 3rd test, in which case maybe he's gone down to Cape Town with the Bulls for their clash against the Western Province tomorrow, and he might, continue some rehab and stuff like that. But it doesn't sound like he'll be involved in the 3 tests. I think it's too soon. He was running water last weekend from the Bulls. Controversial. Dwayne Firmino's running water, everybody. But I think it's going to be too soon. What did Rassie do wrong exactly? Well, by the letter of the law, in theory, nothing. I don't think there's a specific law which says, as a member of the staff, you may not release a video onto social media slamming the referees, but they will argue that there are channels to follow and that they brought the game into disrepute, or World Rugby and stuff like that. So that could be argued what he's done wrong. We'll have to wait and see what the punishment is, and there will probably be a punishment of some sort. Grant Swart is getting me. Grant says, as Rassie mentioned in the video, Eddie Jones moaned about the ref against Italy and World Rugby changed the laws. Maybe this have the same effect. No, exactly. It's not the first time somebody's ever come out. It's just the first time somebody has literally released a planned, edited, full production video of this is how shit the referee was this weekend. I mean, it's amazing. Much discussion on Rassie saying things than what he's actually saying. 100%. How Rassie did what the kids call dragging. He dragged World Rugby and the refs on social media. 100%. Rassie is the man. Alja Yusuf says, when Gatlin attacked the refs, it was a beautiful thing, but now we feel points, we can only benefit the sport. We are now sore losers. 100%. And it's always going to come like that if you sort of react second. Remember when Bismarck got a yellow for tackling Dan Carter? Box seemed to always be on the receiving end of bad decisions by refs. Anyone backing Ulstad after this past weekend where he's not on the side, so we don't have to worry about that. Tennis Ulfser says Rugby Union is having a meltdown on Reddit. I love the video. Rassie had great points, but will suffer the wrath of a scorned World Rugby. I think he doesn't care. If Rassie's not Waterboy, can they get Dwayne at least played well? He'll be there. Rassie will run water this weekend. No issues whatsoever. Chase Donnie says, what happens if a ref loses nerve? Should he pull out and let the touch judge ref the game? I think that's a bit of a dangerous precedent if you can just sort of creak, maybe fake a hamstring. Tian Van versus Hi guys, great to see you all here. Hell of a day. Yeah, it's been a ridiculous day. Rassie needs promotion from Waterboy to TMO. Where are the Bulls playing Western Province? That's at Newlands. Dwayne back for championship against Oz. I think that's probably right. Rassie is using this as a distraction too. In 2009 first test, there were not many set moves, but both JP Pearson and Banner scored famous tries from set piece moves. The second, another, the move. Well, I hope so. Pointing out the mistakes is not an offense. Talking about the Reddit again is very annoying at the moment, full with Brits bitching about Rassie every second post. Someone has to take action against the officials in World Rugby. Rassie points out the facts, and there's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. That is from Kelfie Duncan. And then King Cobra says Rassie's going to need a wheelbarrow for those bollocks. And Greg Ames says Rassie's frustrated by the loss and frustrated by the decisions. It's just a shame that the officials ruined what was meant to be a good, hard, fair test match. Pathetic winning from Saffers is always, no matter. I think you mean whining is what you're going with there. I'm assuming. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm assuming you're going with whining. If the shoe fits, the shoe fits. Unfortunately, I think the shoe fitted. Fitted, is that a word? Are we going with that? Fitted? The shoe did fit. Yeah. Look, and that's the thing, because he's not wrong. In terms of the law interpretations and what he raised, he wasn't wrong. There were some things which I was thinking, yeah, but I mean, you can understand why referee didn't pick that up, or you can understand, why that 50-50 call. And he said it himself. He says, I can understand that maybe this call was difficult. But I think the biggest worrying thing was the fact that Siya Kolisi was dismissed, and at one stage even laughed at when he tried to, imply, but surely it would be this. He said, no, you're wrong. And I think that was offsides. I think, I understand that Alan Jones is a master of a captain, very, very experienced, and he knows how to work with referees brilliantly. You cannot dismiss the other team's captain. You cannot. They are the only player on the field that's allowed to talk to you. And you best believe if it was a case of every single South African player getting in the ref's face and saying something, he would be saying to the captain, listen, they can't speak to me, only you can speak to me. And then also he's going to say, but you won't listen to me. You won't let me come and speak to you. So what am I supposed to do? Put yourself in my situation. I can't come talk to you. So what? Where does the communication from? If I can't come talk to you, who can come talk to you? I think that was quite a frustrating thing. And that is a brilliant move from Rassie Erasmus, because Ben O'Keefe this weekend, first of all, let's just spare a thought for Ben O'Keefe. Moment of silence for Ben O'Keefe, because he's probably going to have the hardest job a referee has ever had, ever. You think of World Cup finals, never has a match kicked off with every single eye set in the referee saying, I dare you to make mistakes. I dare you to have a bad game. So it's going to be very interesting this weekend. I think as I said, I think some of the things that Rassie Erasmus raised are very relevant. I think that he nailed a couple of them. I think we all know that the Billy LaRue decision was really poor. I think I remember watching that knock-on call, which Siya was waved away at the time, saying, but isn't that a penalty? And then I started sort of questioning my interpretations. And look, there were some things which I think were a little bit sort of 50-50, a couple of the ruck call and stuff like that, which you can say it's easy to slow things down and microanalyze. So I don't think that I put it this way. I didn't watch every single call, and I sat there going, useless Nick Berry. How can you miss that? Hopeless. But there were definitely quite a few calls and definitely a worrying trend where you sat there thinking, guys, it's just not consistent. I think the advantage, for example, was something I was quite irritated at the time when it happened. When we go call advantage, I said, "What do you mean call advantage? These days, advantage goes on for blooming half a decade, and you can basically score a try and still get an advantage." And they almost did. They gained 30, 40 meters and 25 seconds advantage, and they still came back, which is sort of more what we've seen. But the 3 marks advantage lasted quite short. So those sort of things that were quite frustrating. Tian van den Berg says, I would take pathetic whining over losing. Yeah, 100%. As I said, if we go and win this weekend and maybe a 50-50 call goes in our favor, do you think Rassie gives a shit that people are saying that he's whining? Do you think he cares that World Rugby are going to come find him? If we go on to win this test series and maybe it was defined by a 50-50 decision and what he did put that doubt in their mind, because let's be very honest. What Warren Gatland did last weekend in front of the media influenced the game. I don't think it influenced the game to the point that that's why they won. But I do think that Maurice Jonker was going to sit there every single time when he had a 50-50 call, was going to sit there thinking, they know I'm South African. He's called out my integrity. If I go against the Lions on a 50-50 call, I'm not saying that he was biased against the Lions, but if I'm going to go against them on a 50-50 call, then I'm going to get slaughtered and I'm going to get taken apart. And, if there's one media you don't want to piss off, it's the British media. They are very eccentric. They are very it's almost quite what's the word tabloidy at the moment, with leading questions, trying to create drama. So the British press have lapped this up, and I think that's where Rassie is playing the field. I mean, the man's got an ace up every single sleeve. He's playing the field. He knows that the British media will jump all over this like a rash. When in the press conferences, I've been in the press conferences, and all the questions are very inflammatory questions, saying to Warren, Rassie Erasmus says that you were wrong to go and think. What do you think about that? So they created a bit of a fire, and Rassie said, fantastic, I'm going to go here and fucking Danger Vermeulen on this bitch. I'm going to pour petrol on that fire, and we're going to blow this up. That's what he did. And we'll wait and see what happens. Would you like to see the same game plan this weekend? Surely more expanding. I will talk about that. I would like to see us probably keep the ball a little bit more. The British media always think they are on the right, even in football. They're just so big that I think that they've got that sort of power. I think that especially in rugby, where they are the dominant form of media across the world, you don't have to compete with the States. So they're so very big, all the news outlets. They've got the audience, they've got the platform to be able to push whatever they want to push, and I think that South African outlets never going to sort of be in the same sort of position. Funny how Gatland was praised last week for criticizing referees or challenging decisions, but Rassie gets treated differently by the media. That's from Billy van Zyl. Chester Tony says, even biased Lions fans admitted we were lucky. Australian football presenter says Rassie went full Rafa Benitez. I think he's going full Jose Mourinho. This is probably I'm just sort of reeks of Jose Mourinho. I'm just going to say what I want. The ref did exactly the opposite of what he discussed with block management, pulling out the rug, pulling him from the side. Yahtzee said, I meant whining, but everyone's acting like the ref wasn't hard on the Lions too. Sia just needs to be more assertive. Look, I mean, I think that the problem is, should you have to be so assertive just to be listened when Alan Jones doesn't have to be assertive? He kind of just sort of sat there going, oh, but mate, what about this? And they were happy to listen to him because of his reputation. Sia didn't have that same opportunity. We let's be honest. We are microanalyzing that situation a little bit, but they definitely weren't treated in the same way. So I think maybe, Sia does need to be more assertive. I think there was talks about the fact that we used to have a good cop, bad cop situation with Dwayne Vermeulen. He would be the bad cop and go after the referee, and then Sia would be like, okay, that's fine, I'll talk to him, but, just have a look. Jean-Dion Look says, imagine the complaining from the UK media if this happened to Lions. Moment of silence, that's what Ben O'Keefe. Greg says, Ben O'Keefe is a calm ref. I think if anyone can ref a match under so much pressure, it's him. Yeah, I like him. I think he's a good ref. I'm very happy that it's Ben O'Keefe this weekend, and I think that the best thing we can do is look, he awarded that red card a couple of weeks ago, so he picked up a lot of flack, but I don't think he's a bad referee at all. So I wouldn't say I'm worried about him, but he will be in the spotlight. Imagine the crowd was there. I'm sure Ben would have cried. I'm just nervous for the consequences Rassie was facing in the World Rugby. What do you think will happen with it? I'll go through the statement now. Talking about Sia needs to be more certain around 2. Yep. If not Rassie, then who? If not, then when? If World Rugby find Rassie, we get Barry to defend Rassie. That wasn't Rassie in the video. That was Yako Yahan. Yeah, Should we bring a French ref, Garcia, a French ref, Garcia Pot, or Reynolds is the referee for next week. So you'll see that it's Nick Berry, Mathieu Reynolds, and Ben O'Keefe, and they're all cycling in So Reynolds will be the referee next week. British press is vicious, 100% always has been. Maurice Jonko was removed from the game with a focus on him from Gatland. I wonder if Gatland gave Marco and the guys are talking about picking up the opposition off the field. Probably not. I'm glad you contribute towards any fun World Rugby funds, and we can set up a GoFundMe. Yeah, maybe we'll start it on here. Greg is saying British media are bullies, and it's not just rugby. I like how Rassie is firing back. They don't normally expect reaction like this. Top stuff, Rassie. Sorry, there's quite a few comments, so I might miss a few. It's just getting a bit difficult to keep up. We should talk about the race, but we should also remember that they are also human. That's when we look. It's a good point. As I said, I don't think we don't want to become too fixated on the referees. If you've been following me enough, you'll know that I hate talking about referees. It's such a cop out every single time you lose to go and say, the bloody ref was hopeless. The bloody ref was this. The ref was that. So I don't like to talk about the referees, but I think that they're in the spotlight, so we have to talk about them. And I think that, I think at the end of the day, if a week ago Warren Gatland did not sit there and say that we are worried that it's a South African TMO, I don't think you would have had the situation, So it's kind of also a steamrolled. So I don't want to talk about the referee. And as I said, we mustn't get too fixated. Referees can have bad days, but I think the problem is that you never see any repercussions, really. You never sort of see them coming out and say, listen, you had a bad game, we've had this, you've admitted he's wrong, etc., etc., etc. And I know it's difficult because you can't hang them out to dry, but it's frustrating when the players are always there and they're accessible and they answer the questions, and the coaches are there, they're accessible, and they have to answer the questions, and they have to sort of account for what they've done, account for their decisions, and the referees don't. So, it is an interesting bit of a balance. People talking about maybe the referee should be in post-match press conferences and stuff like that. Where are the French refs when you need them? We'll have one next week. Sia has to be more assertive. Nigel Owens is Welsh and has supported many of Barry's wrong calls. Go watch a show on the World Rugby channel. Yeah, I saw that. I actually want to go and check a bit more about that and see what good old Nigel's got to say. So anyone find out who Jaco Johan is? It's Rassie Erasmus. He won't admit it. He won't think. But I mean, it's the same. Even the clips he's using, unless Jaco Johan was supplying them, it's the same yellow box. We know it's him. I mean, it's full HD clips with no branding, all very well edited, very good understanding, and it's been produced by some random guy with no profile picture, no Twitter. Come on, guys. Hey, bro, were you at Rhodes University? Because I think I came across you. Yep, I was, Peterson. I was at Rhodes for 6 years now, actually. I left last year. DT says, I'm a Lions fan, and we were very lucky. I think SA could win Saturday, but don't agree with these comparisons with Gas. One answered question. The other posted documentary maybe used a burner. Look, I mean, one definitely took it to the next level, but the intent, I think, is still pretty similar. The intent is still to sort of put that doubt in the referee's mind, play a little bit of a mind game. I'm just trying to look through all these comments, stuff like that. Two was taken in Dwayne supporting all Sierra the pack. Dwayne was very influential with referees. Yeah, I think we were talking about the fact that that Andre Pollard could have said more, and could have done more. Sorry, Reddy, I'll go and find one of your comments now. It's just sort of comments that stick out of me. I think Andre Pollard probably needs to do more as vice captain, or somebody needs to do, whether it's Eben Etzebeth and stuff like that, who needs to get involved and say, this is happening or whatever, or else we need to sort of ditch the bad cop, good cop, and Sia just needs to be an all-round cop and go after the referee and be in his face, stuff like that. So I go back to Rugby here. My feeling is that not so much the decision went against the box. The problem is that World Rugby will not come forward and clarify if these hard issues were referee mistakes or Rassie or I was wrong. Yeah, so in terms of the World Rugby response, it's I've got to check. I'll read the exact wording for you. It wasn't a particularly long response. There we go. So this is World Rugby's response to the whole incident and stuff like that. They have engaged SA Rugby. So here we go. Here's the statement. World Rugby notes the comments made by Rassie Erasmus. The nature of these will be raised with the union via the usual official channels, and no further comment will be made at this stage. That is what they've said. That is what they said. That was the entire statement. At the end of the day, he's not untouchable, but he's pretty close to being untouchable as Rassie Erasmus. It would be so... you'll get a fine. You'll get a fine. At the very most, you're going to fine him. You can't fire him. You can't tell him to be removed and stuff like that. it's so you can fine him, and I think he'll take the fine. What does he care? And let's be honest, it's the same as football. When clubs get fined, I don't know, £20,000 for racists in the stands, and the clubs are going, okay, well, you'll pay it. So look, I think, as I said, I think most people will probably crowdfund to try and sort out that fine if it does get to that level. So I don't think that he's too worried about that. And I don't think this will be a regular occurrence. Rassie Erasmus is not going to release the Refs Chat YouTube channel and every week do a whole session about it. It will be a once-off thing. This won't happen next week. I'll be very surprised. But it started a conversation, and that is what he wanted it to do. So even if the refs don't change, even if nothing, it started a conversation. World Rugby are not in the spotlight. They have to respond. They have to do something. So that is the sort of focus, and that's kind of the result of what we'll see from this. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much what's going on. We kind of wait and see what will happen. I can guarantee you right now, Rassie Erasmus will be running water on Saturday. I don't see why he wouldn't. He's not outside the rules until they change the rules. He's going to continue doing it, and why not? Why should he? He clarified it quite quickly that he's allowed to do it, and if you're allowed to do it, why can't you? So I think that won't change. And then we'll sort of see on Saturday based on what happens. Look, I think it's, as I said, mostly I think what he wants to do is put World Rugby under pressure so that he's getting feedback on Sunday. That was kind of like his main gripe, the fact that it took so long for them to get feedback. So as I said, at the end of the day, if as a result of this, they listen to Siya Kolisi more and they give him more platform, they give feedback quicker, and we bring some burning issues to the fore, it's not. I think it's a good thing. I mean, it'll help the Springboks. Definitely will help the Springboks. And why not? As somebody said earlier, I lost the comment, but we've seen football managers call out referees. We've seen cricketers and coaches calling out umpires and stuff like that. It's very, in rugby. There's obviously been a huge amount of respect for referees, and that's always been the case. So that's why this is so out there. It's so weird that not only is somebody criticizing the referee. Look, nobody's ever done something like this. Nobody's ever released a bloody tribute video as to what needs to be clarified. So it's a watershed moment for the sport, and I think that's what it excites me the most is that it's generating interest. It's people are talking about it, and as a sport that wants to grow and stuff like that, that's what you want. And we want blockbuster. We want entertainment. We're here for the entertainment. Think how boring it would be if we didn't have what we had today. So that's sort of the main thing as fans. We can British National Lions fans say, oh, your coach is moaning and we don't like it, and the South African fans can be like, hey, up yours. We showed you that the referee was terrible, but at the end of the day, we're talking, we're having a go at each other, we're engaging, we're building hype, which means that come Saturday, this game's going to mean even more. It's going to be more. I mean, maybe the neutral who doesn't really care about this game is now going to think, I'm going to watch this game. I want to see what happens. I want to see what's going on. So that's the main thing. That's what I think excites me the most. So Ruben says, as Will Carling said many years ago, World Rugby is controlled by 50-year-old farts. I don't have much time for World Rugby. I think they're very archaic. I think they don't do enough for the smaller tiers, second tiers and stuff like that. I think, the fact that we are sitting in 2021 and we still only got 8 or 9 dominant unions. Fiji's a non-show, Samoa's a non-show, Namibia's a non-show, USA, Canada, Uruguay, you've got one decent South American side. I think that World Rugby are not doing enough for those second tiers. So the more pressure on them to change, the better. Smitty says, this is just an attempt to influence the ref. SA should focus on its game. I mean, what happened there? Did the box do it? Was Siya Kolisi there? Did you see anybody else there? No, Rassie Erasmus sat down for an hour and recorded a video and said, yep. so they'll focus on their game. And yeah, it is a bit of mind games, but, so what? Is Rassie a whiner? Rassie's a World Cup winning coach. So in my books and probably most of the African books, if people don't like it, they don't like it. But yeah, he's starting the conversation. No one talked about the forward pass to ref missed for SA. What forward pass? The one about the try that was ruled out anyway? Is that what you're talking about? Is that really where we're sort of reaching? Even then, I thought that it was a forward pass, but I think that video was probably on side. It was a forward pass, but it wasn't. It didn't stick or anything like that. The Boks are better on the back foot. Look what. Yeah, look. The one thing you don't do with Springboks, you don't put the Springboks in the corner. Don't. And well, you do that, but don't write them off. Never ever write off a Springbok side with their backs against the wall. That is where they'll come out swinging. So this weekend will be a very big game. DT says, I think most of this all just depending on your side. If you're SA, you support Rassie calling stuff out. If you're British National Line, you think it's wrong. Flip the teams, and I bet you many supporters flip too. Oh, yeah, 100%. You know, if Warren Gatland did the same thing, we'd probably be sitting there going, oh, well, that's so unfair and stuff like that. At the end of the day, you're always going to back your nation. So, yeah, it is always going to be a very, very biased thing. And that's why I'm trying to sort of like, if I was a neutral, what happens as a result of this? If we don't care about the result, what does this mean? What does what we have seen this week mean for the game or for the sport? And for me, it puts World Rugby in a corner where they have to respond and they have to do something. And I think it creates a bit of a buzz, and I think it creates more interest and a different sort of side to things, really, where we might not be looking just at the game. We're looking at a bit of off the ball stuff. We're looking at a bit of a grudge match, developing. Do we remember this tour as the tour of the war of words? Was it Erasmus versus Gatland? In the media, there's always sort of those small things. You think of 2009 and all the comments that we were, being dirty and playing dirty and stuff like that. So we had that sort of hanging around us, and now they've got this sort of thing. So I think there's always been aspects of tours which we remember certain things about, and this is what we're going to remember this tour about. So yeah, it is what it is. We can't change it. So we can either all write it off, we can either get behind it, we can either choose to ignore it, but it has happened, and all for me it means that Saturday's even bigger than it already was, and it was massive. Smitty says literally no one is writing SA off. Well, I think if we go back to the beginning of the chat, somebody said 3-0 to the Lions, so he's writing us off. But apart from that, I think that I've seen a lot of comments saying that this just shows the Boks are scared. Oh, yeah, we go. There we go. No matter 3-0 Lions. So that was the one that was writing us off. Yeah, maybe you weren't. Maybe you're being a bit sarcastic, but whatever. As I said, it just creates a bit of hype. Really low says his whole message about the lack of respect for our players. This should have been done 20 years ago. Yeah, I think that's probably the main takeaway. Are they sort of being consistent with the way they treat everybody? Are Lions players allowed to talk and Springbok players are not allowed to talk? Are there certain trends? I think trends is the right word to use, a bit of a trigger word. So I think that's probably sort of what they're highlighting, is that this is a worrying trend. Watch out for it. I don't think that the whole point of the video is to say to Ben O'Keefe, watch Tom Curry. He's always offside. You need to watch him because he's going to be offside, and if he's offside, you need to penalize him. That's the point. That's what you need to do. I don't think that's the point. I think it's just sort of raise awareness about the sort of watch out for these are trends that were popping up that we're not happy with. Can you provide clarity / clamp down on it? If not, we will do it, and if we do it and you penalize us, where's the consistency? So it's just asking that question. But we'll move on to the game itself. Because as I said last week, I don't think the ref was why we lost the game. I think that the second half performance is probably why we lost the game. I think that look, if different calls go different ways, we do win that game. So in that sort of respect, you can argue that the ref did influence the game, but the referee wasn't putting in bad box kicks, and the referee didn't, not use the wings. The referee wasn't knocking balls on and stuff like that. So I don't think I'll be the first to say we didn't lose because of the ref. We had issues that we didn't sort of adapt to. How did SA play dirty? But did you watch last week's game? No, I was talking about 2009. I'm saying 2009. Remember that was the talk about 2009. The fact that we were being very physical and dangerous. The big hits, the off the ball incidents, late tackles, stuff like that. That was the whole sort of narrative. The fact that we were apparently playing very dirty. So now we remember this series from the off the ball incidents. Chad Swanepoel is a member, says players need to put then they're all now having Rassie put himself on the line like this for sake they need to be squeaky and dominant. Yeah, look, I mean that's the biggest thing, isn't it? Is that it's it puts a lot of pressure on the players because we've gone out and said that the referees we're being unkind to us. Now we've got to back that up and go and put in a good performance on Saturday. We need to go out and say, right, we are playing well enough to get those 50-50 calls. We've got the go-forward ball. We've got the dominance. But let's talk about the game itself and what we can expect from this weekend. And I'll try and pull out the two teams, which I actually just deleted. So let me pull them up, and we'll talk about. I want to talk about the box side more than the line side, because especially if we look at the bench, quite a change to what we're probably used to. Well, not what we're used to, what we saw last week. Probably more to what we're used to seeing in many ways in terms of a bomb squad in inverted commas, but not sort of the same bomb squad. So there's our team. There we go. So there's our team. You'll see her captaining us. And the big thing is, and I've seen a couple of comments about the bomb squad, but we've got a bomb. That I'm sorry for people that don't understand, because there was a lot of people saying that that the Lions nullified the bomb squad last weekend. Last weekend, in relation to the Springbok bomb squad, the concept of the bomb squad in terms of the Springbok application, last weekend by definition was not a bomb squad, because the whole thing about the bomb squad was a 6-2 split. That was what we used during the World Cup, which is not a new thing. It wasn't a new thing. Lots of teams have used 6-2 splits before. But we just sort of, the way that it was deployed by the Boks and stuff like that, the way that they use certain players very specifically off the bench, created this bomb squad. And it was a way to sort of make them feel better about the fact that they're not just replacements. It's not a case of you guys are reserves. You guys aren't good enough to start. It was a case of, you guys are going to do this job in the second half, and you guys are going to win us matches in the second half. You're going to have that big of an effect. And so they rolled with it, and they said, right, well, then we're going to create our own identity. What are we going to be? I mean, what is this big thing? So they said, cool, we'll call ourselves the bomb squad. So it's a bomb squad this weekend in terms of a 6-2 split, in terms of, because let's be honest, when you're replacing 6 out of 8 of your scrum, that's what you're doing with the bomb squad. Only 2 players in that scrum will play a full 80 this weekend. So you're putting in a whole new scrum, which is quite a big thing in the scrums and physically and stuff like that. So this weekend we've got a bomb squad, and I think it's a very interesting bomb squad, because in the World Cup we obviously saw 2 locks coming onto the pitch and Francois Lowe. We are now seeing 1 lock coming off the pitch, 2 flanks, and we might be seeing either 2 flanks and a lock leaving, or we could even see both. We could see a lock and 2 flanks coming off, and Peter the Toy moving to lock and stuff like that. So it's quite an interesting bomb squad in itself. In terms of the comments, sorry, there's just a lot of them, so I'll try and pick out a few. But Jean Dion Locke says, Just Vista has no regard for his physical well-being. I hope he wrecks the Lions physically. We'll talk about him as well. Smitty says, hopefully the ref allows passes to Colby this time. Albert van Lingen says, Marco and Kwaka off the bench and Vista starting could work well. And the Kubis says that our kicking game is way below par. Why stick with it if we're lucky to have some win the games that way? Because besides the final when we played a decent structure. Wayne says, really hope we can see a fair game this weekend. Was looking forward to the series for so long and so much since by Saturday. Sickening. Believe Van Zale says, the bomb squad, in its purest sense, was bringing on a fresh tight 5. However, now we have 2 fresh flankers instead of 2 fresh locks on the bench. Wonder if that will work as well. Well, I think that's what we're still talking about. The fact that it was, as I said, a whole new tight 5, which is incredibly powerful with scrum time, because that's your power. That's why they are the tight 5. So we don't have that this weekend. We won't have 3 new props with 2 very fresh locks behind them, smacking into the line, saying we're going to hit you here. But I think that we've got 3, borderline 4, very, very, very good breakdown players coming off the bench. We've got 3 specialist breakdown players coming off the bench. So if in terms of the breakdown, that second half, if you're bringing on Malcolm Marx, Malcolm Staden and Kwaka Smith, those breakdowns are going to be a hell of a contest. It's going to be heaven for the Boks, really. And Trevor is also very good at the breakdown. We saw his work last week as well. So, I think we've got some very, very good breakdown players next on the bench. And if Damien Lindy stays on, he's another one that's very good at the breakdown. So, you could have 4 or 5 people who are going to sit there and jackal over that ball all day. If you don't cement that ruck, we're going to get over your ball. And what that means, you have to commit more people to the ruck and protect your possession more. So that I think is probably the most interesting thing, the fact that we've got so many fetches coming off the bench. We have a third lock. Yeah, we do. I'm saying that usually it's 2 new locks on. If Pollard gets injured, so I'm trying to look. Can you compare the SA bench to the Lions bench in terms of quality? Shane Simmons can't even get on the bench. I thought he was going to be on the bench. The way that they were using him as an impact player, the entire sort of pre-test during the tour, sort of spoke to the fact that they were going to try use him as an impact player. There is more quality on the Lions bench. It would be worrying if there wasn't, wouldn't it? At the end of the day, the Springbok bench is a nation's bench, whereas the Lions bench is 8 national starters, World Cup winners, 6 Nations winners, World Cup semi-finalists on the bench. So in quality, man for man, you would hope that they are better. If 4 nations can't put together a better bench than one nation, what 4 nations are you looking at? So there is more quality, but I think it's very different in terms of the way. And I think that's probably why they don't have to worry about the idea of a bomb squad, because they've got all that quality. But we need to try and do something a bit different. Final kiss, the Boks going to win this Saturday by 9. Greg M says, if Pollard gets injured, Willemse will come on. What are your thoughts? And also who kicks? I would assume Willemse. Yeah, I think, Willemse's done the most kicking, at a provincial level. It's Colby and Faf de Klerk have kicked. They have kicked in matches before. David Willemse's kicked more. I wouldn't feel very good about. I wouldn't feel particularly confident on any of them in the same respect as I would if Frans Steyn and Alta Yankees and Morne Steyn, or But my gut says they'll back Damien, who has played the most at Flower, who has done the most goal kicking. But I think it all comes down to if Pollard gets injured, because otherwise he'll play a full 80. What happens if you hang on to the ball and you try to get chasing a 1-on-1? Well, I think it comes down to look. I'll tell you something. Duan van der Merwe played really well last weekend because he was very disciplined. Never left his mark. He was very good under the high ball, and I think that he, you could see the reason that Duan van der Merwe has not been picked to run and tries. He has not been picked ahead of Josh Adams because he's a better finisher. He has not been picked ahead of Reece Hammond because he's faster. He has been picked because they want him to try and handle Colby. That is why you picked Duan van der Merwe. He's bigger. He's physical. He can get above him in the high balls. He can put pressure on people under the high balls. They picked him because he's built like a fridge and he's a very, very fast fridge. Look, he is still a stunning finisher. He's a really good wing. But, that is why they are picking him, because he can just cause a lot of disruption. So, the question then becomes, how do we get Colby into the game? How do we get Makazole Mapimpi into the game? And the answer is it's not just a case of play the wing. You have to earn the right to go wide. You also have to earn the right to kick properly. So I would like to see us playing a bit more sort of a few more phases and a bit of sort of a quick ball, even if then you quick, but if you're playing boom, place, boom, place, boom, place, and you're sort of working it around and you suck a couple players in, create a bit of space, and then go, right, now we're going to kick. We've moved to the right. We've got, a couple of chasers with us, and we've identified that Stuart Hogg is by himself. Boom, we're going to put it up, and we're going to have 3 people running in on Stuart Hogg, putting him under pressure. But if you kick for the sake of kicking and you don't sort of suck in a defense or anything like that, then, you can have 2 or 3 people back, in which case you can take it. You've got an option to your right, you've got an option to your left. Or if you are taking it up, you've got players around you who can support you. So I think that we do need to keep it in hand probably more, even if we do want to still kick, because we need to try and create those situations where we can put them under pressure under the high ball. Wayne says, Lud seemed a bit sluggish when he came on, understandably so, but he hopes he gets more involved on Saturday. Yeah, we had an interesting discussion earlier, and we were talking about the fact that there weren't a lot of lineouts on last weekend, which doesn't help when you've got some very good lineout players. We didn't really get a chance to set up any mauls and stuff like that. So, the Lions very much specifically didn't try and kick it out. They try to keep the ball in play as much as they could to avoid lineouts. I think, relatively when you're looking at the quality of lineout jumpers we've got and a very good maul. So, and that's where I think even if we're kicking behind into touch and stuff like that, and then trying to contest the lineouts, that can also be quite an interesting option. Yeah. So a couple of people saying Fat can kick, Philly can kick, Colby is not a bad either. Yeah, look, they all can kick, but should they be kicking? It's still not ideal. It's still very different to somebody who kicks week in, week out, and that's the job they do. But Kenny Queen says, good evening, says, not going to comment on whether or not I sided with Rassie as a Munsterman, but I will say many have turned on him and called him a whiner. However, they are hypocrites as they jump on the ref as well. Yeah, I mean, we'd all, if it was Warren Gatlin, the South Africans would hate him and the British would love him. It's always going to be a bit like that. But hey, it's without bias, we don't have fandom. Fandom exists because we are loyal to our own, and we are therefore hostile to others. It's that's what makes sport it is. Imagine how boring it would be if we all sat there going, well, as long as rugby wins, then we're all okay. And it doesn't matter who wins, and it doesn't matter if it's that aggression and that passion which makes it so interesting. So yeah, I think it's just great that we've got just more to add to this game. We've got more petrol on the fire, which is a very specific choice of words given the scenario and South African setup and stuff like that. They shouldn't underestimate Colby's tackling skills. No, but I think if there's one person who probably can get past Colby, I would back Duan van der Merwe more than I would Reece Zammit, Josh Adams, Liam Williams, et al. Thank you for the show. No, thank you for jumping on. Thank you to everybody jumping on. I look at the comments. Vinny van Zale, do you think we will see Colby as first receiver on second or third phase this weekend? Probably not. I'll be surprised if we suddenly start seeing slotting in there. Unless Pollard's injured and maybe, a lot of people saying that Colby could go as 10. I wouldn't do that. I'd probably have Willems at 10 sooner than I would Colby. Colby's a very good tackler. Willems is better. He's bigger, so he'll be, and as I said, I mean, people always take it out of context. I'm not saying Colby can't tackle. I'm not saying he's not a good defender. Is he the best we've got in the team? No. And I think that if he does go at number 10, they would target him. I think Willems, defensively, for example, is probably a safer pick at 10. We've seen how good his defense has been on. And I also think that Colby is wouldn't say wasted, but if we're going to use them, we need to give him space. And you don't have space at 10, not to run yourself. Classy, good evening. Says, I think the box should play exactly the same way as last week, but limit the mistakes. We should play to our strength. Would France Day not be a better utility? Well, I think it's quite interesting, the fact that they've got Willems on the bench. I think it's a huge backing for him to say that, listen, we're going to back you ahead of France Day. France Day is a safer option. He's definitely a safer option. France Day kicks well, and he's got a big boot, and he'll make his tackles, and he's reliable. But Willems, they've gone with Willems. They're saying that he's playing. I think they pretty much said he's playing better. He's faster. He's more sort of within the game and stuff like that. France State is getting on in years and stuff like that. I think it's just purely because Dave Willems has played so well off the bench. I don't think 6 months ago they would have thought about that. Grant says, the Kanye made a very good point about us not getting over the advantage line often enough to go wide or kick well. Yeah, exactly. I think, and that was a great point he made last night. Just the fact that you have to earn the right to go wide, you have to earn the right to kick. So let's hope we do more right earning. Let's keep the ball in hand and then kick. Let's knock it up a few times and then go to the wings. Let's try and not, as I said, we don't have to go away from the kicking game. If that's what we're good at and that's what we want to do it. And I don't think we, as fans, have the right to complain about how the world champions play rugby after one loss. We don't have that right. You cannot tell these coaches who took a side, who lost against New Zealand 57-0. Look, they brought in a lot of other players from overseas and stuff like that, but you can't take that side. They took that side, they went to the World Cup, and they came back with a Webb Ellis trophy. So we cannot question them after one game. You can't. Even if we lose the series, they've got money in the bank. We criticized them the entire World Cup, saying, stop kicking the ball, use the wings, stop kicking the ball, use Colby, stop kicking the ball, it's horrible. And in the World Cup, we did sort of switch it up. And And it was because we took that long, and we sent out Faf de Klerk and Herschel Yankees early to go and practice kicking and stuff like that, and sort of build up the saw that we were going to kick, and then we didn't. So we have to we have to respect what they say and what their calls are, and if they want to back Herschel and Damien, then they must back Herschel and Damien. In terms of the future, I mean, it's massive for these guys. Imagine being, what the confidence that Damien Willemse feels being backed in the most important game probably in their career and stuff like that. Watch out for LCD. He did not play that well for the search drive, more lethal. Yeah, Luca Dickey, I think he's a good player. We didn't really see him much in the loose. I struggled a little bit at line-out time. I think you probably have a bit of a point to prove, but because you've got Ken Owens, who's very solid off the bench. Maybe France is not fit. Khaleesi must tell the ref when the offside lines they're running, what Rassie pointed out. DT says, do you think the lack of prep is having an effect on the box? Gats mentioned he tried avoiding touch to drain them and brought them. They kicked touch for a breather. I think, look, there's no doubt about the fact that the Lions are fitter, and if they weren't fitter, then fire your fitness coach, because they've been together, they haven't been disrupted, they've been training, they've been playing, they obviously are fitter. Whether it was enough of an excuse, I don't know. How much of a difference we'll see this weekend, I don't know. I don't think you can use it as an excuse. And even if it is, even if literally we are dead on our feet and we can't we can't compete, you can't sit there and make that excuse after the tour and say we weren't ready. That's what Pollard said. The same thing. He said you can't say you're not ready. It's a Lions tour. You are ready. You cannot use an excuse and say you aren't ready. So. It's one of those things we could be a bit underdone, but we kind of have to just roll with the punches. Not question, just thinking versus. Yeah, well, I think no. I mean, France Dane is as I said, is the obvious and the safe option to go in terms of the 6-2 split. He covers center, covers fullback, covers number 10, good goal kicker. He ticks all the boxes. And what they are saying is that that they reckon that Willemse can do the job as well. They'll back him at 10 in a test match. That they know they've got no issues in playing at fullback in a test match. So it's a big backing. Anybody can be in the chats. If you're not a Lions, that's not fan. A lot of the OGs are from overseas, so we can have everybody here as long as we're all just. You play nicely in the comments. Let's not get personal here. You can all have a laugh though. What do you think about Mostert at 6, the toy at 7? I don't really like the idea. I think Franco leave him where he is. I think it could. I mean, it'd probably work. I think it's. I think Pete said the toys work. But I don't like to see too many players being, moved around too much. I saw something about Allard Walters. No, he left. Really cool guy. I actually met him. I went to a press conference, and he just finished his own gym session. Had a bit of a chat. Very, very nice guy. Rich says, can't understand why Mornay staying not on the bench, given the importance of kicking game in the series. It's where we've rolled the dice and decided that Pollard can last a full 80. That's what we. I mean, last week we had the doubt, and this week we're obviously. I don't know what's happened in the week. I mean, it's funny that we were worried that Pollard wasn't going to be able to last the 80, struggled in the second half a little bit, and then the solution is, he can just play a full 80 next week anyway, which is a lot about the pedigree of Pollard. But there's always a game. There's always that little bit of risk, isn't there? There's always going to be that, and we didn't see it during the World Cup. So let's hope we don't see it this weekend, but there's every chance we might. Wait, says you guys are forced to be able to listen to SC commentators living in Ireland. I have to listen to Sky commentators biased and then some. I'll be interested to see them pronounce these are Walker and the buggers. I think Rassie has done what is needed to be done for so many years for all teams in rugby. Why does the sport have to suffer from so much inconsistency and officiating? We always. Yeah, so we've been going for 55 minutes. I'll tell you what, I could sit in here all night with you guys and just chat. But I'm going to end in 5 minutes. Go through the last couple of comments here. Peter Toy and Frankie on the sides is where I've lost that. It's not bad suggestions. They could have kept Alton on the bench. How many will fail their blood tests? I don't think any. Willemston space or an encounter with space would be a fair reason to put him ahead of Stain. Yeah, I think they do think that he's a little bit more up to it. I think more with the game. So yeah, kick off at the same time. We'll be live this weekend. We had a fantastic watch along last week. It really, really was cool. Had some really impressive numbers. We're making so much momentum, and that's it. I just want to take this chance to actually say thank you again, because we don't exist without you guys. To be able to come here on a Thursday and have 200 people in the chat, well, 200 people watching, and a good portion of you in the chat and stuff like that is something I never thought I'd be able to do, and never have. So a huge thank you to you guys who drive this channel. We've got some very, very exciting news coming up. We're in some conversations with a potential brand to try and partner with the channel, which is going to be really, really cool. And when you see the brand it is, you'll realize why we're so excited, because I think they're affiliated with some very big brands and very big channels out there. So the fact that they've noticed us is quite a big thing for us. And yeah, I just want to say that I don't think we do live streams. So I think it was over here. Do you stream live? Yeah. So we obviously can't show the game, but we will do a live. We do live watch alongs. So we'll be there on Saturday. It's at 5:30 South Africa time, so 4:30 UK time. We go live. Trying to work and get a couple of guests on potentially for the actual day itself. They're not looking too promising, but we'll see. So yeah, please do smash a like on the video, subscribe if you're new. I don't think we'll be live tomorrow, if I'm going to be brutally honest. It's been a very, very long week, and it's going to be quite a long weekend, and I've got another very long week next week, so I think I might take tomorrow night off. And I know I took last week Sunday off, and people were asking where I was, but it's just been a very, very long month. We've been working quite hard here, so I think at this stage we're probably going to take tomorrow night off. So won't be with you guys for Western Province versus the Bulls, which should be a great game. But it's yeah. I mean, go check out the other channels who I'm sure will be live and stuff like that. Just come back to me on Saturday. But we'll probably be taking a night off tomorrow, but we'll obviously be live for the Saturday. We'll be live for the Curry Cup game. It's Sharks Griquas. Is that right? Pumas Lions tomorrow. Yeah, I might. Yeah, Sharks Griquas on Saturday. So we'll be live for that, and then we'll obviously be live for the British and Irish Lions game. So yeah, thank you so much for jumping on. It's as I said, it's always so cool to is Rock Nation partnering with the channel, mate. The day this happens, you don't think I'd even I don't know what I'd actually do. Imagine getting old Jay-Z on the channel and the buggers. That's not Rock Nation, but it is a very cool brand. So yeah, thank you very much, people. I won't see you tomorrow, but I will see you on Saturday. Tomorrow. We'll still have lots of content up though. We'll obviously have previews for the Lions game. We'll have press conferences. Sia Khaleesi and Zondina Stick, the masterclass of pressers, are going to be tomorrow in front of the media. So that should be a really cool one to watch. We'll have this British and Irish Lions press conference tomorrow that we'll obviously have up. We'll have previews as well for what's going on this weekend. We'll have our official Springboks versus Lions preview. My last sort of say on the matter will be out tomorrow as well. And then, yeah, we'll be back on Saturday. And we're going to be doing a bit of a change of the format for the player ratings. We're going to be basically finishing the live stream, and we're going to be going live almost immediately afterwards, like literally like 10 minutes afterwards. We're going to be going live for the player rating show. So it will be a case of from the game, go straight over there, and then we'll go through them. So I'm going to try a bit of a new format for that, see if it works. But yeah, when this video finishes, you guys will all be sent over to the link for Saturday, which has already been set up and stuff like that. So go and vote on the poll. Go and smash a like on it so that we can get as many people as possible on the weekend itself, and stuff like that. Ray says, could you ever live stream a press conference, or do you require a license? So it's a bit of a gray area. We can't do it at the moment because it's all sort of Zoom and stuff like that. In the past, people have done it when they were actually live, when we were going there. I would have to ask permission probably. I would love to. I've got the capacity to. It wouldn't be hard to do it. It's just whether we can get permission from SA Rugby and stuff like that. But yeah, thank you very much, everybody. As I said, please do as Greg says, like, share, subscribe, get everybody in here. We're going really fast. We're going places with you guys, which is really, really cool. Stay safe. See you guys soon, and we'll see you guys on Saturday. And for me, up the box. For everybody else that supports the British Irish Lions, good luck, and I hope that we have a good game and nothing else on Saturday. But have a fantastic night. And what time do you go live? Hoppers 5. Hoppers 5, South Africa Standard Time. We'll be live. Hoppers 4 UK time. That's when we'll go live. We've got half an hour pre-chat. We're going to try and get some guests in for the pre-chat as well. And then obviously the game kicks off at 6. Thank you very much. See you guys all very soon.